Hello friends, Patrick here. It is March 19th, 2021. We are 61.3% of the way through the month of March, and that is, in my books, enough time to allow us to put some weight into the data for what is going on so far here in the month of March. We've talked about it a lot in the past. You cannot put any weight into the year-over-year reports going ahead March, April, May, even into June 2021, simply because the market last year was abnormally and oddly and massively impacted by COVID. So instead, for this, we're going to look at the 5-year trends or the 5-year averages across the region, and then for St. Catharines for the number of new listings and the number of sales, and what was sort of expected or what was the average over the last 5 years to put what's going on right now in context. And I can tell you, overall market dynamics, overall supply and demand has completely shifted. We are going to see record numbers of new listings in the month of March, which is incredible given the absolutely starved market we had in January, February. So let's get into it. So two of the most basic components of the real estate data you can look at are the number of new listings and the number of sales, right? The supply and the demand. So when we look at what's happened so far this year, January, for all of Niagara region, January, for the number of new listings, they were down 15% when looking at the 5-year average, or what was normal over the last 5 Marches, going back 5 years. The number of new listings were down 15% in January, against the number of sales were up 41%. Right? So down 15, up 41. So that's a big spread. February, the number of new listings were down 14% over the last 5-year normal, and the number of sales were up 52%. So the spread even got worse in the month of February. And we all know what that did. That caused prices, number of multiple offers, frustration on the buyer side, all those things sort of escalated, right? So what happened in March, or what's happened so far? What are we on trend for? We're on trend for an enormous shift in the dynamics. So the number of new listings for the month of March 2021 in comparison to the 5-year trend is actually, it's going to set a record for the last 10 years. And over the 5-year average, it's going to be between 55 and 60% more than the 5-year average of new listings. So for all of Niagara region, we're actually on pace for about 1,600 new listings for the month of March. Over the last 5 years, it's wavered, or it's sort of ranged between 900 and 1,050. 900 to 1,050 roughly over the last 5 years. March 2021, 1,600, right? That's enormous. Second place, or the second highest month of March ever, in the last 10 years for the number of new listings was March 2012 with 1,241 new listings. So first place by almost 400 listings. That's an enormous change in the supply. So what's happened on the demand side? The number of sales so far in March is on pace for March 2021 to be about 40 to 45% higher than the 5-year trend. So again, new listings up 59%, still number of sales about 40 to 45% higher than the 5-year trend. And again, it's been around between 40 and 50% so far this year above the 5-year trend. But for the first time in about 6 or 7 months, we're actually going to see the number of new listings be higher than the 5-year trend. We haven't had that since back last September when leaves were on the trees. But to actually beat it, but to beat it by that much is absolutely remarkable. So that's where March is for the Niagara region in general. We're going to look at St. Catharines. So St. Catharines, the number of new listings in January were down 24% over the 5-year average. Meanwhile, the number of sales were up 21%. And then February, the number of new listings were down 11%. The number of sales were 20% up. So again, not quite as big as the Niagara region as a whole, but still a significant gap between the supply and demand. So what's March 2021 like? March 2021, when compared to the last 5 years, is going to be up around 50 to 55% in the number of new listings compared to the last 5-year trend. So second place, March 2012, there was 329 new listings in the month of March. That's second place second place in the last decade. So March 2021 is actually on pace for about 400 to 410 new listings. So again, when you go back over the last 5 years, the totals were around 250 to 285 for a number of new listings in the month of March for St. Catharines. And here we are in March 2021, we're cracking 400 new listings. That's enormous. Remember, back in January, we were 24% under the average. Here we are in March, we're 53% above it. That's a massive swing. So for you buyers out there that are stressed out or frustrated or you're not seeing anything, You're seeing it right now because we're seeing an onslaught of new listings that is only continuing on. That's only going to open up the doors for you, literally and figuratively, for more options. Number of sales. So far this year, the number of sales over a 5-year trend, we're up around 20 to 25% on a monthly basis for St. Catharines. March 2021, sales are up to 44% above the 5-year average. But again, number of sales, 44% up. Number of new listings, 53% up. We haven't had new listings beat the sales trend in about, again, 6 or 7 months. So that should be a heartwarming story for you as a home buyer. The second place in the number of sales was March 2017. And if you were in the market then, you'll remember, realtors, you guys remember, it was an absolutely astonishing time to be in the real estate business because it was so super active. There was 248 sales in March 2017. And we all remember what that market was like. It was intense. And here we are in March 2021 on pace for almost 290 sales. The average over the last 5 years for the month of March has been around 180 to 190 sales for the month of March. So we are almost 100 sales more on pace for in March 2021. So that's an incredible swing, right? Because we had, for month on month, we had intense sales demand, but our inventory was just garbage. It was just not enough. And now to see that flip in the span of 1 month shows you how quickly a market can change. And again, this is really just to give you, some hope out there if you're in the market as a buyer. But also there's people out there that want to sell their home. They want to move, but they're not seeing inventory that would allow them to put their home on the market. And this is all integral. It's all the ingredients of what makes a delicious spring market, right? Because now as a seller, I see a house, let's go buy that one. We buy that one, now our home's on the market. And that just opens up the whole market. And all of a sudden things are fluid, active, and hustling, right? So that's the story for St. Catharines. But like I said, that same concept, those same dynamics apply across Niagara in general. For the larger markets, that's what you're going to see. So wrapping this up, this might be my quickest video ever, by the way. Average sale price, there's always been, but there's lots of thoughts and theories on what's going on in the pricing, what's going to happen. Is there going to be a pullback? Is the market going to crash? I've been in this business since 2003, back when the average price of a house was 200 grand or something like that in St. Catharines. I've been hearing about a crash for a long time. I'm not going to say that anything that's going to happen in the future because nobody predicted last year or the year before or the year before that properly, right? People can speculate, but nobody can tell you with any assurance what exactly is going to happen. So all we can do is forecast and give our best guesstimate of where we see things going. So right now, the supply and demand side has changed. So in general, pricing can be a lagging indicator, meaning you can have that supply and demand shift. Pricing won't adjust yet, but you might see a leveling out, right? Because all of a sudden, instead of 20 people coming to the same house, now you have 5 people going to that house, 4 going to that house, 5 going to that, and it's less competitive. It's still competitive. That 300 to 500 bracket is still going to be competitive because there's a lot of people looking in that end of the market. But in general, the market across the board, that sales volume is still there, but at least the inventory volume is meeting it or exceeding it, which in theory should level out some of the bubble in the market right now. And that's what we're going to be watching to see. Across the Niagara region, average sale prices so far year to date in 2021 here in March 19th. There's only 2 municipalities with average sale prices under $600,000 for the year 2021. And that is Welland at $584,000 and Port Colborne at $594,000. Otherwise, all of the cities are above. St. Catharines' average sale price year to date is $613. Niagara Falls is $636. Fort Erie is $610. Thorold is $615. And then you have the bigger players, you have Font Hill up at $893, Niagara Lakes at $1.14. So some significant numbers for average sale price year to date. And again, that was driven by, that sort of September, October through February, that complete imbalanced, out of whack market. Lots of buyer demand, lockdown happening, people not wanting to list their home, 27 people going to the same house, and that's the byproduct of that. So all we can hope to see is the market sort of find its feet as inventory improves and we see less of that heated competition. That's a wrap, guys. So in summary, we're going to see, my expectation is a very active, hold on to your hats, spring market where sales volume is going to be 25, 35, 40% higher than the 5 or 10 year norm. matched with new listing inventory now on board, which is going to bring up the whole activity, because now you have lots of people coming to the store, but you're also putting a lot more supply on the shelves. So watch out. It's going to be a market where you need to have an agent or a realtor who's on their toes, who's local, because I can tell you, if I was working with a client in Ajax, there's not a chance I could compete or operate at the level of an agent that is actually physically in Ajax. It's impossible, especially in a market like we've got now that's so tightly wound and quick and unique. You really need somebody who's got their boots physically on the ground in the market that you're working. That's just my 2 cents. But so over the next 30, 60, 90 days, we're expecting to see some pretty incredible numbers. We will be here reporting on them as we go through. If you have any questions in the market, you want some help, your theories, your thoughts, what you think is going to happen, by all means, reach out. We'd love to hear from you, depending on what portal, what do you call it? Social media platform this is on. You can comment or whatever you'd like to do. Otherwise, we hope you're doing okay. And again, take care, stay in touch, stay tuned, and we'll keep you posted. Okay, cheers. Thank you. See you.